That time Qui Gon Jinn led a colonization effort. Now this is one of those uncanonized events that I always like to think happened in Star Wars but isn't officially part of canon, and this story originally stems from the 2001 Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds video game, where Alaris Prime, a small moon of a gas giant, Alaris, in the Kashyyyk system is recently rediscovered. The Wookiees were actually great travelers of the stars, and the Cloudovac Guild was an organization of Wookiee cartographers and hyperspace scouts. Over the centuries, they had mapped and gathered information on a number of hyperspace routes only known to them. Still keeping these a secret on Kashyyyk, it was actually one of the main reasons it was important during the Clone Wars that the Republic couldn't lose it to the Separatists. And if you look at Kashyyyk, it kind of makes sense why the Wookiees were good at navigating the stars, as they are well positioned amongst many trade routes. But back to Qui-Gon assisting the Wookiees. Alaris Prime now discovered to be habitable, the Wookiees wanted to explore it, and they made a petition to the Galactic Senate to grant them colonization rights, to which they were eventually granted the rights to colonize the planet only after 20 years of debate due to the Trade Federation's interest in harvesting the moon for themselves. So the Wookiees were granted the right to colonize the moon under the condition that Jedi Master Qui Gon Jinn would oversee the expedition to the moon. Viceroy Nute Gunray secretly rejected this petition, and he sent a portion of the Trade Federation's Droid Army to begin colonizing Alaris Prime and established a secret manufacturing operation there. On the surface, they realized it was very similar to Kashyyyk. The Alaris Prime colonists were primarily Wookiees, but they also included engineers, scientists, and general laborers. So Qui-Gon had to teach the group of workers on how to gather resources from bushes, wild animals, carbon from trees, nova crystals, and ore. In other words, colonize the planet. And they also learned that the planet was full of dangerous creatures like Gundarks, and these workers eventually had to fight off a group of Gundarks in an attack that galvanized Jinn and the Wookiees into seeking a permanent solution to this problem. And in searching for the dangerous Gundarks, they came across the Trade Federation's secret and illegal operations. Qui-Gon, knowing that there would be little support coming from the Republic or Senate after 20 years of debate just to end up on this planet, he trained his colonists to go to war with the Trade Federation's battle droids. Now leading a small-scale conflict on an uncharted planet, Qui-Gon quickly removes the Trade Federation's operations and along the way sets up more outposts and spaceports on Alaris Prime, in other words, a successful colonization. Along the way, Qui-Gon also discovers a Jedi holocron on the planet and petitions that a Jedi temple be built on the planet, now establishing his religious Fourth Order cult a piece of this new land. The colonization is going perfectly. With a number of locations on Alaris Prime being able to trade and travel on, the colony would be successful. However, the conflicts wouldn't stop as the Trade Federation continues its attacks a couple years later in the Clone Wars, and this colonization effort was actually a precursor to the Clone Wars, only happening about 5 years before the war breaks out. The moon also had a dark history. The Decimator was a war machine developed by the Galactic Republic at the start of the Clone Wars on Alaris Prime, and the Decimator was considered to be the most powerful combat vehicle of its era. However, before the Republic could use the weapon, a Separatist general ended up stealing the Decimator and would end up using it on the core worlds, ensuing blackouts, fear, and anticipation of more attacks. And during the first month of the Clone Wars, the Wookiees on Alaris Prime were targeted by Confederacy's head of state, Count Dooku. He wanted to test an ancient Sith superweapon called the Force Harvester on a world where its devastating effects wouldn't really go noticed. The Alaris Prime colonists ultimately were successful despite numerous attacks and sabotages across the galaxy and the Confederacy of Independent Systems into the Clone Wars, but nonetheless this is a story that is lost in Star Wars legends, and I just wanted to bring it to light because I do think it is a really cool tale about how the Wookiees wanted to colonize a planet and then they required Qui-Gon Jinn assistance to colonize the planet. So with that is the story of Alaris Prime. Subscribe if you'd like, and until next video, goodbye.